1045 The Team, your home for New York sports. Levack and Wolf and Kristie Ackert of the New York Daily News joins us right now. Now, Kristie, a lot of Mets fans here locally in upstate New York not thrilled with me because when Noah Syndergaard said, quote, turned out to be nothing with my elbow, I said publicly, it's never nothing. What's the latest on Noah Syndergaard?
Well, he's still saying that there's no structural damage to his elbow and that his arm feels fine. But there are multiple sources now saying that he is pitching with a bone spur in his elbow, and it's smaller than that Steven Matz is pitching with. They have admitted that he has a condition that he will have to manage throughout the year, and it will be uncomfortable. So I guess we're kind of in the same place, but not in the same place with that. He's got an elbow that's bothering him.
The other pitcher that you just mentioned, Steven Matz. Now, there's some people who are saying he's not going to be able to use the slider, and if he does, his elbow will go out. What's the latest on Steven Matz as we go through the rotation?
Well, he too has a bone spur. His is apparently much bigger, and he has admitted that the discomfort in his elbow, which is all they'll admit to, has had him shying away from using the slider. The torque that the slider creates on the elbow is causing him discomfort, and so he's shied away from it. He has enough other pitches that he could probably get by without it. He didn't have anything working for him the last time he pitched in the fifth inning. He lost command very quickly, and that's going to be a concern if you're going to try and throw him out there and pitch through this. If he's going to lose it that quickly, you've got to be constantly having your bullpen up and waiting for that. So they're in a bad spot right now with their pitching.
Kristie Ackert joins us. You can follow her on Twitter at Ackert_NYDN for the New York Daily News. Kristie, the guy who was supposed to be the shining knight on the white horse, around the trade deadline was Zack Wheeler. Mixed reports on whether or not he'll be available, how bad his elbow is right at this point. Do we know anything about him?
He threw yesterday after being shut down. I think he had been shut down for a week with what they said was sensory nerve irritation, which means he had discomfort in his elbow. He threw yesterday and felt fine, reportedly, according to the team. And Sandy Alderson was in Port St. Lucie yesterday because the Mets worked out Cuban infielder Yulesky Gurriel. Alderson was supposed to sit down with Zach and rehab coordinator John Davis to kind of look at where he goes from here. Initially they were hoping Wheeler would be back early next month. Then it got pushed back to the All-Star date, and now it's looking more like August 1st, but we'll see if that's actually when it happens.
Kristie, now you got all these young, strong guys with elbow issues, yet Bartolo Colon just marches on like a clock. Nothing's wrong, just keeps on going.
He's been very good. I mean, and he's the thing about Bartolo is he started out like these young guys throwing in the high 90s, blowing away hitters, but he learned how to pitch, which is what a lot of them are going to have to do too once, that 100-mile-an-hour fastball starts coming down a little bit. He's been amazing. He's been, he went through his own injury issues a few years ago, but he's been great this year.
Kristie Ackert of the New York Daily News joining us right here on 1045 The Team, your home for New York sports. Oddly enough, with all these physical issues with the pitching and even Matt Harvey, who we're not really sure what's going on, is that in his head or not, the bats are the real issue with the Mets. Is there any kind of solution you can see in the not-too-distant future to wake up those bats?
They looked good for 3 innings last night. They got to Joe Ross early. They just couldn't get him out of there. No, there's no. I mean, Jose Reyes is coming, and that may, moving the lineup around, putting him in the leadoff spot might help out a little bit. But there's no real help on the horizon. Lucas Duda is out with a stress fracture in his back, and last we were told he is still not cleared for baseball activities, so he's at least 3 weeks away. Gurriel would be another option, but he's gauging the free agent market and looking for his best deal. So, the Mets probably won't be able to get him that easily. And there's going to be no big trades out there until the trade deadline, until we get closer to that.
Kristie Ackert of the New York Daily News joining us, breaking down some Mets news. But, Kristie, as I was awake last night with the rest of the Yankee fans in the area watching no baseball for 2 hours and 15 minutes, I Twitter creeped on everybody I follow, and I saw you not exactly thrilled with the way Major League Baseball and the refs were handling this game.
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous. To start a game at 2:15 restart a game at 2:15 in the morning, that's insane. People need to go home. You're getting an inferior product by far at that point of the game. That's ridiculous. The game should have been called at that point.
Kristie Ackert, before I let you leave, I also noticed that you had some very kind words for a legend who left us, Pat Summitt, today. Any memories, stories you'd like to share with us about Pat Summitt?
When I first got to the Daily News, I was covering women's basketball. I was covering, and I got sent to cover Shamika Holtzclaw, who was a Queens native playing for Pat Summitt. And it was like meeting a legend, obviously, because you had heard all about her. But she was very kind and gracious. Pat had a Southern lady charm to her when you met her, but she was also as tough as nails and as intimidating. The stare of her blue eyes could be as intimidating as could be. As a young female sports reporter, however, she was very encouraging. She was in a tough business as a woman. I was in a tough business as a woman. She could be very encouraging and a good role model for young women in any tough business. She was a great coach, a very nice person, and Alzheimer's is a terrible disease, and it's really sad to see her gone so too soon, far too soon.
Kristie Ackert of the New York Daily News, breaking down some Mets knowledge and helping us remember the legend that is Pat Summitt today on 104.5 The Team. Kristie, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.